Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right, it's 6:30, and we'll open the board meeting. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We do have Todd Labar with us from Watchdog to give us a presentation regarding the status of the capital project. So, Todd.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I have to say, I always love the prelude to these meetings with everything that goes on amongst you guys. It's great. So the project obviously is progressing along. We are actually making great strides. Our general contractor gambled in Sandy Creek on winter, and right now it looks like he's winning with regards to snowfall out there and their ability to progress the schedule on construction of the bus garage. We showed on our schedule it's shutting down in November for the winter, and they decided to tent the building and heat it and continue running up blockwork to create the building envelope. There's some photos that were in the board report that went out. They kind of show their progress along the way. And so far, they're winning. They're making great strides and doing well. And the workmanship has been great. The coordination amongst all the contractors has been great. So that's a good thing. It looks like we, if they keep pushing, we'll have the bus garage done sooner than we had originally scheduled, which would be awesome for the district to be able to use that facility. The one thing that is somewhat lagging behind right now, and it may become an issue, is the gas service to the building and the utility company. It doesn't just seem to be with your local utility company. It seems to be all over the state right now, and I think they're having their own issues with COVID and trying to get projects and new services in place for a lot of the new buildings that we're doing. But we'll continue to push forward on that, and we need it about the March timeframe, so we still have a little bit of time, but it might be an issue before we get too far ahead here. With regards to work at the building, the elementary school structural reinforcing work took place, started a little bit before the holiday break and continued through holiday break and is wrapped up. There was a few toilet rooms that needed to be reconnected after the break, but all in all, everything was completed and the rooms were put back together and usable. The gym entrance work is progressing as we had anticipated. They have that area tented. There's a photo on the board report that shows that area as well. The only other thing that really is something that you guys may be slightly concerned with is the mechanical equipment schedule. We actually had work starting sooner than they have started. Equipment is beginning to show up at the site now. They've given us a schedule. They believe that they're going to be able to make up for what I'm going to say is a delayed delivery time frame. But that's not unusual given COVID across the country right now. We're seeing that everywhere, where things that are normally a 12-week lead time are out sometimes as much as 24 weeks or longer. So, but equipment is starting to arrive, and they have a plan for installation, and everything seems to be going as planned, except for obviously when we receive the equipment. So, other than that, there's really I would say that between now and when spring hits, each board meeting when we do an update, it's going to be a lot of the same. I mean, it's slow progress at this point until the envelope at the bus garage is established and new equipment is installed and operational, and then the controls get hooked up and ceilings get put back together and that kind of thing. From a financial standpoint, the big things that most districts and boards of education are concerned about is contingency funds and change orders, and there's been very few out of the gate so far. We've had a few minor things. Most of the stuff that's coming up is minor owner requested items where we're trying to pick up some stuff to make problems go away because we have funding available at this point. There was a financial summary on the back of the board report. If anybody has any questions on that, feel free to ask away or send me an email or Kyle, and I can get you an answer on that. But project's tracking very well, and we're happy to be a part of it. And so Are there any questions?
Appreciate the photos, Todd.
As I think I've told you guys, we obviously meet, Shelley, Andy, Jason, and myself. We meet every 2 weeks with Todd and Fred from Watchdog, and also all of the contractors that are on site, and we get a really good handle on, you know, where we are and where we're going. Communication's been really good, and Todd and Fred are awesome at you know, holding the contractor's feet to the fire, which sometimes needs to take place. And we're just really appreciative of the work that those guys do for us, because they're very good at what they do. So we're happy to have them on board, and I think we're in pretty good shape overall. And like Todd said, they did take a gamble with, and I've kept you abreast of the situation. They took a gamble with the winter, and it's working out great. And so hopefully we'll end up with the new bus maintenance facility long before we thought we might end up with it. So if that happens, that's just a huge win for us in terms of moving forward. So I think we're pretty pleased with what we've seen so far.
Any other questions for Todd? Appreciate the report, Todd, both verbal and what we have in the packets. I think you're doing a good job, and you know, sometimes you're watching over our project very well. It's in very good hands.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks,
Great
Todd.
night, everybody. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you again, Todd.
Bye-bye.
Okay, moving ahead, the next item on the agenda would normally be public comments. And again, in this virtual format, that's not possible, unfortunately. So we will move ahead. Item 5, I believe there's no need on the front end for an executive session. So we will move ahead to item 6, that being consent agenda changes. I believe there are none. Is that correct, Kyle?
Correct.
Okay, we'll move ahead to item 7, that being the consent agenda. That including the approval of the minutes, the approval of CSE recommendations, approval of financial reports, approval of, there are no position authorizations or abolishments, approval of the resignation of a bus driver, and item 7.52, the approval of the resignation of Val Fowler from her position as elementary teacher, in order that she may retire. And I want to say that we certainly thank Valerie for all her years of service. I believe it was 33 years of service she invested in the district. She has been, over those 33 years, a valued member of the Sandy Creek family, and we absolutely wish her well in retirement. Item 7.6, approval of leave of absence. We have none. Item 7.7, approval of appointments, and this being a bus driver being appointed this evening. And that is item 7, and I would take a motion on all of those items inclusive.
I'll move.
And was that Andrea?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll
I'll
second.
second, John.
I think Heidi got in that second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. And we will take a vote. Aye. Brian?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Heidi?
Aye.
Andrea?
Aye.
And Michelle?
Aye.
That motion carries. Moving ahead from item 7.7 to item 8. This is the board committee reports this evening, and I believe we have a CDEP report from Amy.
Good
Is Amy-
evening.
Okay.
So I have some things to share. We usually have a department coordinator update part of CDEP. And so at our meeting on December 16th, One of the things, and I've mentioned it to you folks before, that is a concern is the teachers are worried about writing, the lack of during the remote period. So one of the things that came out of the meeting is that the English department, the teachers at the middle school and high school really want to look at gathering student samples of writing. And not just like hard copies, they want to do something electronically. So that's one of the things that we talked about that we're still going to kind of focus on to make sure that we're keeping on top of students in writing and practices. Social studies department also agreed with that. So that's going to be one of our main points we're going to be looking at. We also talked about attendance. This is the first year ever that we have actually had to take attendance, not just absences, but we have to track when students are here on site or whether they're present remotely. So at the beginning of December, School Tool Mindex created an update which allows us to now track that. And I have to say it's been really helpful with contact tracing and everything else. I can't thank the staff enough. Keeping track of student attendance is hard enough, but when you add that you've got to keep track of, were they here? Were they learning remotely? Were they absent? So the teachers have been doing a great job. When I talked to Shelly McConnell, who was our contact at the RIC, she just wanted me to know that the teachers are rock stars and that they've been doing it from the beginning of the year, and we're in a good place because of them. Dorothy Hovey and Jessie Glenister have also been helping. And it's really going to put us ahead as far as when the state starts collecting next month, whether a student was present versus they were absent. We actually can go back to the beginning of the year where most of the schools, even within our county, didn't start doing that at the beginning. So it's going to put us ahead and give us just a little bit of an easier time in reporting. We also have a Harvard meeting coming up on the 27th. Kevin, Tim, and I will be meeting with our rep through Proving Ground. We're going to be looking at data with attendance, and because we've been doing that intervention with the digital messages to parents through Parent Square, we're now going to see if there's been any correlation or connection between those notices and hopefully student improvement. So we will be sharing with you what we find out. We were supposed to do 3-8 simulation testing this week. So grades 3 through 8, we're going to be practicing logging in to the Nextera website for the CBT computer-based testing. We had it all planned out. We had everything ready to go. And of course, we're not in session. So we were thinking maybe it would be canceled by the state, but at this point, they've rescheduled it for us. So next week at some point, we've been given a makeup day. So we just found that out. I'm going to be working with Tim and Kevin and making sure that we have a plan in place. But it's going to be easier for us to move everything. We've got everything already from what we were supposed to do. The other thing is the CDEP plan. I shared with you folks yesterday in an email the CDEP plan. It was a little tricky this year. The departments, the goals were still relevant. So there was no reason, they had time to look at it. They felt comfortable staying with the targets they had from last year. So we only made some major updates as far as the district pages, making sure we included writing, the remote instruction, attendance, and those pieces. When it came to the data part, I was able to report on our seniors who graduated last year, but I couldn't include anything beyond that because we didn't give the regents in 2020. So throughout the plan, there's kind of that notice so that people are aware. So once we do have data in place, hopefully this June, then we'll start to update those sections again. But if anyone has any questions or you want to know more about the process and what we did, please let me know. But I think that's it for me, unless anyone has any questions.
I just wanted to mention. Go ahead. Was that me or you guys?
That's you.
Is that me? I just wanted to mention that it's interesting, we're going through all this stuff with the COVID and everything, but the requirements that the state has in place for us in terms of attendance taking and all that kind of junk. I mean, that doesn't change. I mean, they still expect us to be on top of all of this stuff. And, the difference between what we're going through now with what is normal is tremendous. And it just puts so much strain on the district as far as trying to keep track of all of that stuff. And I need to thank our team and our teachers, our administration and our teachers, and like Amy alluded to, Dorothy and Jesse for taking that on, because it's not easy, and it's a tall task to ask of these folks to try to keep on top of everything else that's going on, and plus we have to try to continue to have accurate data. That's not easy. So kudos to everybody that's chipping in and taking care of that, and sort of, if you want my opinion, shame on the powers that be for requiring us to continue to do all these things when we're dealing with stuff we've never dealt with before. So not an easy task, but we've got great people that are willing to step up and do what it is they do. So I just wanted to throw that out there so everyone is aware that this is no easy job, and it's a lot of responsibility, and people are doing a fantastic job.
Anything else for Amy? Amy, I want to also thank you for the outstanding job that you're doing, that the CDEP team is doing, and also we have an outstanding teaching staff, and they're doing an incredible job for us all the way around. So I want to thank everybody for their efforts that they're making there. So thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Oswego County BOCES City Board of Education report. You'll find the written version in your packet. Our last City Board of Education meeting was on December 16th. That was a virtual meeting. Our next one is scheduled for January 20th at 6:30 p.m. That will also be virtual, and it will be mainstreamed. At the last City Board of Education meeting, we received somewhat of an update as to our administrative budget. We're continually massaging that, but we get preliminary information on that and where it stands presently in terms of budget development. With the crisis, we're making every attempt to keep that budget as modest as possible. The administration budget is the budget which each of the districts will vote on in April, and it is one of 153 different budgets or coasters that is overseen by city, and it is actually relatively small. It comprises 2.8 administrators and 10.7 support and coordinator personnel. The current budget run would have that administrative budget increased by 1.46%. That would have been slightly higher because retiree health would have driven 0.9% of that increase, while everything else would have been the balance of that. What we have done in the past few years are found that we were able to do, because of the fact that financially a lot of the districts are hurting and everything else, there is an opportunity to move some of that back to program budgets. And because of that, we reduced the impact from 0.9 to 0.55 of the administrative budget, and that we're able to preserve the 1.46 increase. And again, we continue to try to be as conservative as we can and minimize the impact to the districts, because we know what a killer this COVID is to the finances of all the districts. Recently, Chris Todd himself tested positive for COVID, and he has been in quarantine and in recovery for that. Typically of Chris, he's been chomping at the bit to get back to work, and he indicates that he's feeling well and officially was out of quarantine yesterday. He was back at work on Wednesday. So we're happy about that. City BOCES is going to be on remote learning through at least through January 19th. along with most of the county districts. The major problem, again, and I'm just going to repeat what Kyle said, the major problem is quarantine of staff and students due to contact tracing more than it is of actual cases of COVID within our population. The Oswego County School Boards Association, together with the Central New York School Boards Association, is coming together and sponsoring our legislative forum, and that will be on February 6th. That's a Saturday from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. We have made arrangements and have received confirmation that Senator Ritchie and Assemblyman Barkley will join us virtually that morning. And all board members and administrators are urged to join with us in this event. And you should have received an invitation via email for that event. It's always good to become a familiar face with your legislators, and if we have certain asks of Albany, to make those known. The Central New York School Boards Association, again, they're having 5 of these legislative forums around the region that they cover, and those all allow for dialogue between school district board members, administrators, and elected officials in those 5 regions. I believe I will also say that Central New York School Boards Association continues to put together programming and training for board members across the region, and those training sessions are available and accessible at the Central New York School Boards Association website. That's about what I have at this time. Again, you'll find attached a Points of Pride document telling about the different activities at the city and in support of the school districts. So that's what I have. Any other questions regarding that report? Okay, if we have no questions, I'll move ahead to the principal's reports. Kevin?
So not a whole lot going on, honestly. We know we're in remote instruction right now, and we just continue to troubleshoot this situation, and our teachers continue to learn, to continue to grow in this different learning environment as we transition to remote instruction and then back to the hybrid, and then went back to fully remote. It was relatively seamless, a couple bumps here and there, but our teachers have really learned how to do this, and so the communication has been great with families. There are little nuances to all of the different classes and the expectations there, so our teachers have done a wonderful job communicating those nuances to the families the best they can using technology such as email or ParentsWare. So transition was as to be expected, and we're moving forward. And again, our teachers, they're doing a great job collaborating with each other and learning new things. And it's always great to hear and see when they get excited about learning something new. It's been an interesting experience, but a good experience as they continue to do this. Another piece that's really important, something that we continue to work on, is meeting the social and emotional needs of the students. So our counselors, they work very diligently to communicate with families, reaching out to the kids in various capacities in order to support our kids, because we know that this situation is stressful on families and on our students. And they've just done a wonderful job communicating. Our students have never learned how to learn this way up until this year, and so we've had a lot of training to do just to teach students how to learn in this situation. But the staff as a whole has done a great job with all of it this year, and they continue to grow and do amazing things for this community. Looking forward, we're starting to have some conversations about different activities and what can happen, whether that's for our seniors, which I showed you one piece that we're going to do for them moving forward. Additionally, we're looking at what is the sports piece look like, extracurriculars, just all those conversations are happening right now. We don't know what is going to happen. We just know what parameters we have. So that's kind of what's happening right now.
Any questions for Kevin? And am I correct, Kyle, that Tim continues on quarantine?
I'm here. I'm out.
You're there. Hey, how was it?
Stay back.
He joined us today after his month vacation.
Okay. Very good, Tim. Glad to have you back. Okay. Tim, what have you got?
Christmas break and then the quarantine. I came in today and found 2 paychecks in my mailbox. The pay
Uh-oh.
stuff. I said, boy, I've been out a while. So I said to Kyle today, I said, I got to be honest with you, I don't have a whole lot for the report. I can tell you that I was working from home. I was fine. It was my daughter who was sick.
Yeah.
We did our best to keep her isolated. You stay in your room. I don't want to see you. And we checked on her. We're all good now. We're all back to work and things are better. So in the meantime, while I was home, I will tell you it's quite challenging to try to run your building from home. Thankfully, we all know the truth is that Liz runs the building for me. So I've told her many times, thank you for all of that. Buffy Peterson was a big help for me in reaching out with phone calls to families and things as I needed them. One of the struggles there are some families that remote learning just does not work well for them. And we have a handful, a dozen, whatever students that are we're watching. We're following them closely. We're making calls. We're trying to support the family the best we can. And I have to thank Buffy for helping with that. The teachers are using Parent Square. They're emailing. They're making those calls. But what it comes down to is we're trying to help the parents. We're trying to help the family as much as we are the kid. And I won't say that that's unlike when we're here in person, but it's even harder, I think, in the remote setting. So we certainly have learned a lot. I think we're doing a much better job with it now than we were, of course, at the beginning when this all started. And as Kevin said, the teachers are learning a lot. They're growing. The kids have learned a lot through all this. As far as things happening at the elementary, unfortunately, there's not a lot to report. It's been as you know, there's not much of anything happening as far as our normal activities. We would normally have concerts and talk about events and stuff. I can tell you some of the things that are coming up. We have middle of the year testing that will begin next week, and that goes from next week until February break. They'll be doing the testing of the kids to see where they're at the middle of the year. Amy mentioned to you, we're doing the CBT, the computer-based testing for ELA. That simulation's coming up next week. And we'll, stay tuned. We'll see what the state decides to do with testing. The report cards open up next week and teachers will start working on second quarter report cards. It's hard to believe that we're almost halfway through the year. And that in itself also has challenges because, as I mentioned, those families, those kids that are not doing as well as we know they can, we have to be able to give parents some good feedback about how their child's doing. And there's a lot of conversations that go into those report cards and making phone calls to explain some things and making sure parents understand where their child is at and where their struggles are. So other than that, that's about it for the elementary.
Any questions of Tim? Tim, we appreciate your efforts. We appreciate those of your staff in a terrible situation. And most of all, we're happy that your daughter is healthy, your family is healthy, and we're happy you're back with us. So thank you. Thank you for being with us tonight. All right. Moving ahead to item 8.3, that is the superintendent's report. Kyle?
Just a couple of things. Kevin kind of alluded to it earlier, but with athletics for, winter and spring, we're, as you know, and I've kept you informed, I think we're in a holding pattern. Theoretically, we're supposed to begin fall 2 sports season March 1st. which would include, football and soccer and the like. I honestly don't know where that really is going to go. I mean, that we're in a pretty bad situation right now as far as new cases and the spread and all of that. So we're in a wait and see situation. We all know it would be great to get our kids to be able to do something of that nature, just for their own well-being. But I can honestly tell you that I haven't talked to anyone that believes we're going to be able to pull anything off that quickly. We're hoping that maybe by springtime we'll be able to do some spring sports, but it all remains to be seen. And if anyone tells you they know what's going to happen, they're full of it, because nobody does. We're waiting for guidance from the governor and the powers that be at New York State Athletics, and we really have nothing definitive to go on. So I wish I could give you some great news, but I don't have any on that front. So I'll keep you posted as we move forward. As you know, we had the vaccination clinic yesterday for all employees that were interested in the first dose. ConnectCare was fantastic. I, in a million years, did not think it was going to happen this quickly. We had talked as a county just last week on, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday, and we were thinking it was still a couple of months off, quite honestly. It happened that quickly to where ConnectCare sent me an email on Monday and said they wanted to do a clinic for our employees this week. And I said, you got to be kidding me. That's awesome. I got the email the very next day and said, we'll be there tomorrow. So, wow, we threw it together as quickly as we could. It's never good to not have our kids in school, but it certainly made it easier that they weren't there for us to pull it off. So yesterday they vaccinated 97 of our employees, which is well over half of the folks that are employed, both full and part-time. So that's a good thing. We have already scheduled the second dose on February 10th for those of us that received the first dose yesterday. They are also going to try to come in before that for our folks that were on quarantine yesterday and couldn't come in. And that was a substantial number. That was 20-some people yesterday that couldn't come in because they were quarantined. So we're going to try to figure that out. I'll keep you informed as far as what that's going to look like and how we're going to pull that off. They are going to come back to the school and do it right from there for our people again. So we'll have to logistically figure that out because hopefully we'll have kids at that point. So we're working on how to go about that. One of the things Shelley and I would like to do, I think we've let you know, and if you're living under a rock, if you don't understand how messed up the budget situation is for New York State and school districts. But one of the things Shelley and I thought we ought to do is to get the finance committee together, not this coming week, but we'd like to meet the week after that if possible. And that would be John, Brian, and Heidi. So if you would look at your schedules, and what Shelley and I will do is send out an email tomorrow and give you some possible dates on when we might be able to come together and talk about what it may look like next year. And we all know it's not going to be pretty unless we get a major stimulus package from the federal government, which does not look likely at this point. We could be facing some serious challenges ahead and some very difficult decisions, very much like last year. So we will throw an email out to you with some possible dates, and if the three of you can get back to us, we'll go and set up something so we can sit down and talk. The last thing I have is what we're looking for next week. At this point in time, and again, it's Thursday night at whatever time it is, and you know how quickly this changes. At this point in time, we have every intention of opening back up on Tuesday after the long weekend with in-person instruction. We have only 3 student cases at this point, active cases, and only it's either 3 or 4 adult cases at this point. Now, that being said, we also have many, many, many people on quarantine, both adult and children. But in looking at the sheets after we consult with the Oswego County Health Department, it does appear that the vast majority of them will be back by Tuesday. That most of them get off quarantine Monday night. So at this point, our plan is certainly to move forward, and we all know the best place for our students is in our school with our teachers. So that is our plan at this point. But again, you know how last weekend went, and I don't know how many public, how much of the public is on right now. But as far as I certainly want to apologize for the last minute decisions that have to be made, and Mark Haynes and I had a good conversation about it today. I hate it. I hate that it has to be that way. I know it's very difficult for parents to try to plan for childcare and things like that, and I wish there was a way that it could be different, but it's not. We think we're going to open and everything's going to be fine. And then I receive a call or whatever at the last minute, and we suddenly have to figure out how many people it impacts and whether or not we're going to have enough staff to staff our building and care for our kids. And there's no great way to do it. And I don't know of any district that's found a great way to do it. It's kind of hit and miss, and you have to be prepared to make last minute decisions and do the best that you can. It's not something I'd like to do. We worked really, really hard this past Sunday to make the decision as early as we possibly could to give people time to get that child care. But, I think it was maybe 3:30 or 4 o'clock by the time we got it all together. And that's the nature of the beast. That's dealing with a Department of Health that is way overbooked and just, they can't keep up with what is going on. There's not enough people there. So we're doing the very best we can. And I just don't want anyone to think that we're shirking our duty and not keeping up on things and putting it off to the last minute, because that is not what we're doing in any way, shape, or form. We are on this 24/7, literally 24/7, and trying to keep up on it and keep people as informed as we can. So right now, we're full steam ahead for Tuesday, and I hope we can pull that off because it's what's best for our kids and everything. So I don't know if you have any questions on any of that.
Any questions for Kyle? Kyle, I just have one, and I may have missed along the way, kind of lost track of it, but the restoration of the transportation aid piece that a lot of people are going to bat in Albany. Where are we at on that?
Shelley?
Yeah. So where we are is the state asked for a survey on the transportation on certain costs. We all filled them out. They have the information there. Currently, right now, they're only looking at restoring possibly up to May 1st.
Right.
After May 1st, will be no restoration. They basically said that already. So we may get from March 16th to May 1st, but a lot of it's going to depend on the governor's plans. I don't know if you've watched the governor at all. He gave a State of the Union speech, but now he has 3 other plans that he's giving.
Mhm.
Hopefully next week we'll get the aid run so we can see what they're doing. But quite frankly, there's a lot of us that don't have a lot of faith in any restoration.
Yep.
So.
And you guys know that what we thought we were doing last year, we thought we were doing the right thing.
Yep.
And if they restore us to May 1st, I mean, that's better than nothing. But we still did a whole heck of a lot of meal delivery from May 1st until the last week of June, trying to make sure our kids were fed and going the extra mile and taking it right to their home. So it's definitely a slap in the face for districts that did what we did. Trying to make sure our kids were were taken care of. So I don't understand it. To me, there's no excuse. To me, it's wrong on every level, but there's really nothing we can do about it. We're at their mercy. So
The governor told us to keep people employed, and that's what we did.
that's what we did.
Yep.
Kyle and Shelley, what's the thought process on the May date? I mean, is it just an arbitrary date that they pulled out of their butt?
So May 1st is the date that he closed schools for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So if you remember back to when it first happened, it was like I don't think it was week by week. Would we go every 2 weeks or something? I don't even remember what it was now. But then he made the unilateral decision that day in May that we were done for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So I guess we were supposed to just quit feeding our kids then. I don't know.
Well, certainly it will amount to preaching to the choir, but that is certainly something to bend the ear of our legislators on when we come together for that legislative forum on February 6th. And I'm sure they'll hear a lot of that. So,
No doubt.
anything else for Kyle?
Just a quick question on while we're talking about the meals. I know you said I think was it the last time we went remote that there was close to 100 people picking up or 100 lunches or going out. I'm just wondering if it's still consistent with that or if people are starting to take advantage.
It's actually pretty low. We were actually, I think the last time before Christmas break, I think we were only at like 50 some. And then I haven't even checked this week, Shelley. I don't know if you checked at all. I'm not sure where we are this week.
No, I just thought it was 58.
Yeah, I mean, they're still serving some. I mean, some people are still coming to pick them up, but since we can't transport because we know we're not going to get aid, it's certainly not what we'd like to see, and it kind of stinks, but we have to be smart from an economic standpoint.
Well, it's nice to have the option for
It
the
is.
families. At least they have the option for pickup. So I feel like there's something.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Kyle? All right, moving ahead to item 9 on the agenda, that is discussion items. At this point, I believe, are there any discussion items coming from the board? Okay, hearing none, item 10 is communications, and I believe there have been no issues under that. Move ahead to item 11. 11 is an action, 11.1 action item regarding a municipal agreement for energy purchasing services with OCM BOCES. And I would take a motion to put that on the table.
John, I'll move.
Brian moves,
I'll second.
and that was
Andrea?
Andrea seconds. Okay, take a vote on that. Aye. Brian?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Heidi?
Aye.
Andrea?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Moving ahead to item 11.2. This is a resolution to include certain items or a certain item as a surplus item per the spreadsheet that is in our packet. I believe it was a kiln. So I'll take a motion to put that on the table.
I'll move.
Heidi moves. Is that Mark seconding or Joe?
Joe.
Joe seconds. Any questions or comments regarding that? We'll take a vote. Aye. Brian?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Heidi?
Aye.
Andrea?
Aye.
And Michelle?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Moving ahead to item 11.3. And this is a motion or a resolution regarding the permanent appointment of Julie Hemingway as administrative secretary. I'll take a motion to put that on the table.
I'll move.
Michelle moves
I'll second.
and Mark seconds. I think that was Mark.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions or comments regarding that? Take a vote on that. Aye. Brian?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Heidi?
Aye.
Andrea?
Aye.
And Michelle?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving ahead to item 11.4. This is a resolution to permanently appoint Samantha Kersey to her position as school nurse. And I will take a motion to put that on the table.
I'll
I'll
move.
move.
That was Mark moving,
Heidi seconding.
Heidi seconding. Questions or comments? Take a vote on that. Aye. Brian?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Heidi?
Aye.
Andrea?
Aye.
And Michelle?
Aye.
That motion carries. Moving ahead to the next item on the agenda is would be item 12. Do we have a need for executive session from Kyle or anyone?
I do not.
Okay. I believe we do not have a need for executive session. We will move ahead and note that future Board of Education meetings, the next one would be February 11th. And at this point, I believe I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Heidi moves.
I'll second.
Was that Andrea seconding?
Yeah.
Okay. You have a motion and a second. Take a vote. Aye. Brian?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Heidi?
Aye.
Andrea?
Aye.
And Michelle?
Aye. Sorry.
That's okay. All right. We are adjourned. And I appreciate everybody coming out this evening. I'm glad Timmy's back with us. And hope everybody stays safe and healthy.
Thank you.
Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you,
everybody.
guys.
Guys,
Have a good weekend.
thanks for everything.
Thank you.